Mike, Albert Pujols, that's all I have to say. He has a deadline. Had a deadline for signing a new contract. He and the Cardinals could not get together, and it looks like he's going to go through the year and become a free agent now. We'll see. But the numbers you hear, 10 years, 3 on 30, that'd be easy. $300 million, about $30 million a year is what you're hearing. That seems just out of control for even a guy that is just a phenomenal hitter, and actually a pretty good fielder in Pujols. How out of control has this gotten?
Well, he showed up at training camp this week and said that the numbers are laughable. The 10 years, $300 million, he says, is laughable. But you know that it's somewhere between roughly 25 and 30 million in the annual value of the contract, and you know that they want a long-term deal, and it's going to be difficult for the Cardinals to get financial value, and it's certainly going to be difficult, maybe even for them to get baseball value at the far end of that contract if they've invested $300 million, and at the end of that contract he's going to be over 40 years old. So it's a tough call for the Cardinals, and there's lots of things that go into it. I don't know. It's not easy. It's not easy.
You hit something there. Baseball value, and I would call it retail value. What's his marketing? This is baseball value. He's not going to hit if it goes 10 years. Ryan Howard's contract coming up, 5 years, $25 million. He may not hit all of it at the end, but the Phillies take that gamble. But what does it come down to? What's your bottom line for a baseball franchise? We can hit this on two levels because the Phillies seem to have exceeded that with when they did with Cliff Lee. But the Cardinals are a small market, and they're already selling out their games. So I wonder what their level is before they get to a point where we've exhausted all of our tickets, sellouts, we've exhausted the parking, the vending, and all that. We can't make any more, so signing Pujols is still a big deal. We're not going to get our money back compared to the baseball value.
Well, they're not going to get their money back, certainly, because there's no more seats to sell and all that kind of thing. But you have to figure out if you're an owner of a Major League Baseball franchise, this is maybe the best player in the history of our franchise. He's a historically great player. He's one of the best 10 baseball players who ever lived, I believe. Do we want this guy to retire as a Cardinal or not? Do we want to have the value of having him on our team in terms of winning games or not? You're not going to make it from an accounting standpoint. You're not going to make it work. You're not going to make the numbers fit. I don't buy this stuff about a revenue ceiling. This is a temporary situation. This guy's not going to be around forever. Do you want him to retire as a Cardinal or not?
I think some baseball teams try to make this for profit all the time instead of winning championships too. And maybe it's what happened. Tom Verducci had that article out about the Cleveland Indians when they hit $98 million and had to break it up. Well, yeah, if you're trying to make it for profit, but if you're trying to win titles, you keep these guys together. Sort of like the Phillies did. The Phillies ceiling up. They lied years ago, but it looked like it made sense. About $140 million made sense based on sellouts and vending and parking. Okay, we can add that up, and
they're not going to make money on signing Cliff Lee.
Well, that's the thing.
They signed Cliff Lee to win the World Series. Yeah,
that seemed to jump them up there above. We understood. We could see realistically the $140 million seemed about right when you added up this, and then they went above that.
So let's predict. What do we think is going to happen? Is Pujols going to end up a Cardinal or not?
I say no, unless he comes off that 10 years. I think they probably would go 5, 6, and then you'd be okay. But unless he comes off of that, here's what I'd love. The rumor's been floated out there. Ken Rosenthal is a pretty reliable guy, has floated this out there before, and other people have jumped on the bandwagon. How about a Pujols for Howard deal?
Well, I'm doing it if I'm the Phillies. Bear in mind that Pujols is younger than Howard.
That's debatable. Some people, Pujols supposedly fibbed about his age when he got.
All right. Okay.
I don't know. They're about the same.
Based on their posted age.
Okay. Howard's from the St. Louis area. St. Louis would have a 5-year, $25 million contract that kicks in. I think that would be a winner for them. The Phillies, you're going to have a guy, a better hitter than Howard going to that ballpark.
No question. It makes sense in that way. I mean, you can make an argument for it, which I think is why the rumor exists. That's usually why these rumors exist. I don't think it's going to happen.
I think if it wasn't for fantasy sports, it never would have been out there anyhow. But it is a phenomenal scenario.
It's a pretty nice fantasy.